Yo, 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 yo. Welcome into the ChrisBeCappinn show, man. Today is July the 28th. Tons of games on the board for today. 5 games. First game after the All-Star break, of course. And we got plenty of action to get straight into, man. So we're going to jump right into it. As far as recap, we haven't had a game since, when was that? I don't even know what day it was, but whenever that day was, we did sweep the board, man. Nice 3-0 day to kind of end things. I think it was like the 22nd, maybe. I think all the teams have had 5 days off, or most of the teams have had 5 days off. Regardless of that, what did we play? We played I don't even think I have my recap page up. I don't know where it happened to it, but yeah, I know Seattle was one plus 10.5. There was another team. There was a couple other teams, but yeah, we ended up getting all of them right. And I don't know where my page is, but regardless of that, nice 3-0 data in the break. Let's jump into it for today, man. No further ado, let's jump into it. So first we'll start with Jackson AI Sports Betting Tool. Linked in the description of the video. You guys be sure to check it out if you are interested. One thing I wanted to double check really quickly before jumping in. Okay. Wanted to double check something real quick. All right. So for today, I kind of want to focus on player props. So I asked Jackson to analyze today's WNBA slate to identify the highest value opportunity for player props. Focus on lines that show a significant discrepancy against 5-game rolling averages, tracking changes in usage rate due to injuries or favorable defensive matchups, specifically targeting matchups in points, rebounds, or assists. Provide the data, underlying metrics, and reason for each recommendation. So Jackson's top play on the board is Kelsey Mitchell over her 25.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I mean, this one doesn't come as any surprise. It says she's currently playing her best basketball of the season. I would say her whole career, honestly. But it says showing a massive discrepancy between her recent season average and her recent 5-game rolling average, while her season mean of points, rebounds, and assists is 27.7. She's exploded over the last 5 games, averaging 30.4 points, rebounds, and assists. This represents a significant surge in production that the 25.5 line has not yet fully adjusted to. So Jackson likes Kelsey Mitchell over her points, rebounds, and assists. It says that Indiana Fever are facing the Seattle Storm team that is currently dealing with the absence of Ezi Magmagor, a critical interior defender. This defensive void often forces Seattle to collapse more on Aaliyah Boston, leaving the perimeter open for Kelsey Mitchell. Furthermore, Caitlin Clark is listed day-to-day with an injury. Mitchell's usage rate is expected to remain at an elite level as she takes on more of the primary scoring and playmaking duties, which Caitlin Clark is listed as probable. So I am expecting her to play today. So yeah, I think she's just hooping right now. It's hard to get in front of Kelsey Mitchell right now. So I like that look today. There's a couple more here, but again, you guys use the prompt, whatever prompt you want to use, and check it out. Let's jump into the matchup. So we'll start off with this first one, which is Connecticut and Washington. And I'm gonna get straight to it just because it's a ton of games on the board for today. So Seattle, Washington opened opener was Washington minus 4.5, 5.5, but there was some 4.5s, and total opened about 157, and as low as 153.5 on Bet Rivers. I wish I would have saw that. This is the game that if I'm betting, I like over. So Sanaya Rivers is off the report. Well, she's not off the report, but she's listed as probable. They should get Aaliyah Edwards back. She's also listed as probable for this game. And then Brittany Garner remains out. And then on the Washington side of things, nobody on the injury report. So Connecticut got absolutely smoked in that game before the All-Star break. Back-to-back losses to Phoenix, and the worst one was to Indiana, where they gave up 123 points, which was a franchise record for the Indiana Fever in that game. This is the quote-unquote 4th game. Of course, they had the break in between, but the 4th game of a 6-game road trip for them. Back-to-back non-covers, and I would attest that to, because Connecticut had been playing some pretty good basketball, I would attest the back-to-back losses to the lack of depth that they've had, because Aaliyah Edwards has missed some of those games. Sanaya Rivers has missed a couple of those games. Brittany Griner has been out, and they were playing their best basketball against the Minnesota Lynx about 3 weeks ago when they had both of those, players in the game, giving Minnesota all they could ask for. So getting Aaliyah Edwards back, I think, does help the offense, in my opinion. I'm not sure about the defense. We'll see, if they come locked in defensively. On the Washington side of things, back-to-back wins against the Golden State Valkyries and the Las Vegas Aces. This team actually went into the All-Star break, the hottest team in the WNBA. The offense had picked up a lot, scoring 90 points and 100 points in back-to-back games. Of course, both of those went over the total. If we look at this from a head-to-head perspective, Connecticut did win the previous matchup. They were getting 4.5 points as home dogs, and you just kind of scratched your head and try to figure out why you wanted to, why Connecticut never showed up, why Washington never showed up in that game, laying points on the road. And then Washington actually took the first matchup, and they were getting points, 2.5 points as road dog. So dog is, covered and won both of the games so far. Washington is playing much better basketball right now, but Washington can't be trusted as a favorite until they, cover a game. In my opinion, they can't be trusted as a favorite. They're 0-5 ATS laying points at home, so I couldn't bet them in this spot, even though that they are on a roll. Something about them laying points just, make them play terrible defense. They allow an average of 90 points per game as a home favorite so far this season, as opposed to when they're a home dog, they give up about 80 points. So I do think that they'll be able to score. I think the game will be played pretty fast. Washington's been picking it up as far as pace goes. I like the over 157.5. I think when I was looking at this last night, it was 156.5. I haven't bet it yet. You still can get some 156.5s out there. It looks like, let's see real quick. No, this is up to 157.5 on most books now, but I like the over 157.5. If I'm betting, that's the way I'm looking in this game. I didn't really think about it too deeply from a player prop perspective. I don't really want to play too many player props in this game specifically, but that would be my thought process. Over in this game is what I would bet. These totals are going crazy in the WNBA, and I think this is one that could also go, just as crazy as well. So that's my thought process on this one. Let's get to the next game, which is Toronto and Minnesota. So line in this one open with Toronto, Minnesota laying about 14.5. Total was at 184. And we've seen it stay about there, about 14.5 total, 184.5 is consensus right now. So injury report is significant in this one. Kiki Rice was a full participant in practice on Sunday. She's listed as questionable for this game. Brittany Sykes is still without a timetable for her return. And then you have Izzy Harrison also listed as questionable, which in my opinion is really, really big. They don't have a lot of depth on the interior, especially if Izzy isn't able to go. Getting Kiki Rice back, her first game back after, I think she missed about a month, maybe even a little bit longer than a month. I don't know how efficient and effective she'll be in her first game back. And because they lack the rim protection, Toronto has they've really, really struggled. This is a team that's been decimated with injuries throughout the season. 3 straight losses for them to end a 9-game homestand, crazy homestand. The last 2 went over the total with them giving up 111 to Atlanta and then 109 to the Las Vegas Aces. 4 of their last 5 have actually gone over the total because they can't really stop anybody. 184 is a lot of points. You need the Minnesota Lynx to get to 100 in this game is what their team total is listed at, like 99.5. Can they get there? Absolutely. Do I want to take them, first game back after the All-Star break to get that many points? I think I'll bet this one live. A lot of these games I think I'll bet live today, but this one specifically. Now on the Minnesota side of things, they've been rolling. They've won 7 of 7 straight, 8 of their last 10. They got feedback in that last game before the break when they were in Seattle. She looked good. I think she had like 24-10. But they have failed to cover 9 straight now. Depending on the New York game, what number you got in the New York game, they covered one and didn't cover the other. But 9 straight non-covers, with them barely covering that game, if you want to say 8-1. Also 8-1 to the over. So they're playing super fast, which is why we get such a high total. Offenses look really, really good with Olivia Miles back. And it's probably not going to miss a beat, especially if Izzy Harrison is not able to play in this game. The first matchup that these two teams played, Minnesota did smoke this Toronto team. They beat them 100-72. So that one didn't go over this total, and they were laying 6.5 points as a home favorite in that game. It stayed well under the 172.5 total. So I had a system that said, to back Toronto. It pretty much is like taking the team that's coming off that lost by 25 points or more in their previous game. They cover about 63% of the time and 9-1 ATS this season. But I would need Izzy in this game because I know how soft this Toronto team is, especially on the interior. So probably nothing for me on this one. I did have a couple of systems on the over as well. But again, well, I didn't mention this yet, but I know Cheryl Reeves coming out the All-Star break is going to be preaching defense because Minnesota has not been playing any recently. Again, 8-1 to the over in their last 9 games. So again, this is one that I'll bet live. I bet this one, and potentially some Natasha Howard points, maybe points plus rebounds in this one, depending on if Izzy is able to go for on the Toronto side of things. And then, of course, if Kiki Rice plays, that changes everything for Toronto as far as, especially Julia Ottoman, her, potential assists and that type of thing. So I'll wait on this one. Probably won't bet anything pre-game in this one. All right, next game up is Indiana and Seattle. So we got Seattle getting 9.5 points as a home dog, and total in this one is 184.5. This opened with Seattle getting 7.5 points, and total was at 184.5. So total in this one staying about the same, even though the total's been opening up a lot of different places at a lot of different numbers. I see a 80.5 opener, 181.5 opener, 182.5 opener, 183.5 opener, and 184.5 opener. So this opened all over the place. Injury report, and the reason why this line has gotten bigger is because Dominique Malunga is listed as questionable. It's a back injury. She looked pretty good when she was dunking in the All-Star game, but we'll see what happens. Raven Johnson's off the report, and then Caitlin Clark is also listed as probable. I want to say Indy only has Bree Hall listed as game time decision. Demiris Dantas is out, and no Izzy, of course, either on the other side, Izzy McMahon. So I was ready to pull the trigger on Seattle again. Seattle has covered back-to-back games, and they've been really, really strong, specifically in the first half, and just whenever they're at home, catching points as a dog. But let's start with the Indiana side of things. This team has been hooping. They won 3 straight. They won 5 of their last 6 back-to-back games where they've scored at least 108 points, 8-2 to the over in their last 10. This game starts a 3-game road trip for them. Don't really want to bet against this offense right now. Like they're cooking. This is probably the most potent offense. They play at the fastest pace in the WNBA. And on the Seattle side of things, back-to-back covers for them as well. Minnesota twice. We hit on both of those, and Indiana before the break. They've covered 7 of their last 10, and they're 9-2 against the spread when they're getting points at home as a dog. They just can't finish games for whatever reason. They're getting smoked in the fourth quarter. I don't know if you guys heard it, but Flau'jae Johnson was getting interviewed during the All-Star break, and she spoke about it during that interview on ESPN before the All-Star game happened on Friday night. I think that was Friday night, Saturday night, whatever night it was. So yeah, it was it's just they can't close games. So if Dominique Malunga plays, I do think that trend kind of continues with Seattle. I will be looking at them plus the points, not one the latest big of a number with the fever on the road. If Dominique Malunga doesn't play, I think this is a clear over game. I think you would look at Aaliyah Boston assist because she'll actually absolutely dominate the paint in this game. So for her to kick out and find some of those cutters, she's a willing passer. That would make the most sense in my opinion. If Dominique Malunga does play, I'll be looking at Seattle first half again, and I'll be looking at this game. I'll be looking at Seattle full game as well. I think coming out of the All-Star break, they'll be a little bit more locked in and focused and just kind of taking the next step. Even this season, I think the longer the season goes on, the more they'll kind of figure it out. But you want Dominique Malunga in, and you want her without any kind of minutes restriction as well. Far as systems go, I had one on the over. That's about 69%, well, about 70%, and about 80% to the over this season. But I did not bet the over in this game. Without Dominique Malunga, I don't really want to bet anything. I need to know if she's going to play because of her impact on both the offensive and defensive ends. So that's my thought process on that one. Let's go to the last 2 games. But hit the like button if you can. Subscribe if you guys have not. Let's keep moving. So the next one is New York and Los Angeles. We got Las Vegas too, but not right now. So Liberty and Sparks. So Liberty are potentially with Marine Johannes. She's listed as game time decision. No Leone Fievich, and Satu Sabali remains out as well. And then on the Sparks side of things, same injury report before the All-Star break. They will be with everyone except Kelsey Plum. So New York has really, really struggled going into the break. They went into the break failing to cover 4 straight, 5 of their last 6, and that was the other play. We had Chicago plus the points as well. They were getting 9.5. They ended up losing the game by 1, I think. So that was one of the other winners as well. But going back to New York, like I said, before the break, failing to cover 4 straight, 5 of their last 6. They've only won actually 4 of their last 10 games. And they got the Aces on deck on Thursday, which I wouldn't say is too much of a look ahead spot because they beat the Aces in that last game for the Commissioner's Cup. Maybe it's more a look ahead spot for the Aces who lost that game without Asia Wilson for the Commissioner's Cup. But we'll talk about that in just a second. This Liberty team, they played in 5 straight overs, and 8 of their last 10 have actually gone over the number. Defensively, it seemed like they don't really care. They just want to shoot a bunch of threes. We'll see if they can lock in after the All-Star break, but this is a Liberty team that I'm going to need to see before I want to put my money on them. Defensively, they still, have the 5th best defensive rating, but they don't force any turnovers, and they just don't do a great job stopping anything. They're like the worst defense in the WNBA as far as like mid-range attempts and makes and field goal percentage, and the same thing, bottom 5 as far as defense defending the 3-point line as well. So I need to kind of see it from this Liberty team to want to lay points with them on the road. They have not covered. I didn't even write this down, but it's just something I know off the top of my head, that their ATS record laying points on the road is terrible. 1-9 against the number, and a perfect 10-0 to the over as well in these games. They're 5-5 straight up. So not even winning, a majority of these games when they've been laying points. They did beat the Wings. It took overtime. I just don't want to lay points with the Liberty. So by default, it'd be Sparks. Sparks have also looked bad, though. They've lost 5 straight, 3 straight unders for them. Their offense is kind of falling off a cliff. They've gotten to 82 points 3 straight times and not have been able to get over the 82 points, which is why their totals have actually started to go under. The earlier meeting this season, if you guys remember, came in LA, and I remember the Sparks having to come from behind. I think they might have been down double digits. Necker hit the 3-pointer to win that game 98-97 as 5.5-point dogs, and that game was had a total of 181.5. So that one went over the number as well. Went over by 14.5 points, and this one, of course, opened 3 points higher. I do have a system on the over in this game that's about 59%, with about a 215 game sample. That's 10-6 to the over this season as well. So about 60% this season, and it's going over by about 8.5 points. And I think that's the way I would bet this one. Until the Liberty show me that they can play some defense, I think I bet it over. I think the Sparks having some time, the rest, they both have 5 days off rest in this spot. Sparks didn't have a bunch of players to participate in the All-Star weekend either. Them plus the points or the game to go over would be my recommendation in this game. I didn't bet either one yet, but that's the way I'm looking at this one. Last game on the board. Let's get into Portland and Las Vegas. So the Portland Fire, man, they saw Sarah Ashley Barker take a very, 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 very bad hard fall the other day against the Dallas Wings, and she's done for the season. I think it's ACL, and best wishes to her. Hopefully she can get well soon and her surgery goes well. She starts the recovery process soon. But outside of her, nobody, she's not on the injury report because she's done for the season, but they'll have everybody else on deck. The Aces have Kirsten Bell and Cheyenne Parker-Tyus both listed as out. Kirsten Bell's dealing with a leg injury, and I forgot what Cheyenne Parker-Tyus' injury was. So this is interesting. So Portland has actually lost back-to-back games. They lost to Minnesota and lost to Dallas, but they've covered 3 straight. They covered both of those games. And they've covered 7 of their last 8. 7 of their last 10 have actually gone over the total because, it's kind of like they slept on offensively. Like they eventually end up, getting over these super low numbers. Las Vegas Aces lost that game before the break to the Washington Mystics, and they gave up 100 points. You could tell they was kind of just ready for the break. And they've now played in 3 straight overs. They've alternated covers in their last 5 games. So cover, non-cover. I already told you guys they got the New York Liberty on deck for Thursday. That is a revenge game from, the Commissioner's Cup. Lost about 2 months ago or a month and a half ago, whenever that was. When you look at the head-to-head matchup between these two teams, Portland has lost both games. Vegas has actually won both Both were played in Portland as well. And the Aces actually covered the 11.5 in the first meeting back on June 11th. But then in the fourth quarter, they had about an 18-point lead, and they ended up not covering. Was outscored by double digits in the fourth quarter to not cover the 9.5 game back on July the 9th. So the first one they did cover. The second one, they just kind of let the game get away from them. They ended up winning the game by 8. That game stayed under the 175.5 total. I was looking at like home favorites out of the All-Star break, laying double digits with facing a team that they've beaten already twice. They don't typically cover. Only cover about 46% of the time. 0-2 ATS so far this season. That tells me to take the fire. I don't really want to lay this big of a number with the Aces. Also, teams with a total of 175 or higher, home teams laying double digits with a total of 175 or higher are only 2-5 ATS so far this season as well. So it's a difficult game. This in general is a difficult game, trying to figure out the side of the total. I think if I had to bet it, I would bet over. I think this game could get up to about I think it can get to 180. It was at 175.5 yesterday. So I think I would bet over. I just don't think Portland has any real, like the Aces will be able to score the basketball is what I'm trying to say. Aces first quarter team total is something that has done really, really well against this Portland team. Portland they don't have a good matchup for Asia Wilson, which kind of opens up everything. And then Jackie Young, her assist is something that we've religiously talked about as well. Especially against this team, and she's been cooking against this team as well. So I think I would bet over if I had to bet anything at all. I think Portland should be able to keep up as well. Aces may be looking ahead to the New York Liberty at this spot. Real quick, if we transition over to Outlier and we go through a couple of these player props that I've talked about so far, just kind of taking you guys back to the beginning. I have no idea what happened to my recap page. I had to build a new recap page. Yeah, I gotta build a new recap page, man. That is crazy. All right, y'all. My apologies for that. All right. My apologies for that. Let's get into what I was just talking about, though. I mean, the elephant in the room is Jackie Young, right? We talk about it all the time. Over those 6.5 assists, I feel like she's done really, really well against this team specifically. She went into the All-Star break hooping, right? 7 assists, 12 assists. This is the game against Portland. She had 11 assists as well. So we go head to head. We can see that 10 and 11. They just don't have anyone to be able to slow her down at all. Her assist today, you can see 6.5 here. It is juice, starting to get juice. Minus 131 on DraftKings, but just take her to get to 7. I think is fine. You can see that they give up the most assists in the WNBA. So this is a really good spot for Jackie Young today, crushing the 6.5 line. What else did I say? I said Aaliyah Boston. If Dominique Malunga does not play, I think our fam gonna have her hands full today. So we look at Aaliyah Boston, we look at her assists. 2.5 is the number. It is super juice, so you probably have to play this at 3.5, which I think is also fine. Look how many times she's been over and gotten to 4 in her last few games. So 4 assists. We know that they play at the fastest pace. This is also defense for Seattle that gives up, bottom 5 as far as assists allowed as well. We look at the head-to-head matchups. I think she failed. Yeah, she has not played against them this season. She missed that game that they played early. That was the game that Caitlin Clark played in, and she did not because of the first leg of a back-to-back when they played back on the 26th of when they played earlier this year. She did not play in that game. So I do think Aaliyah Boston assist is a really, really good look today. If Dominique Malunga does sit. So I think that's enough. It's a lot of games. I'm not gonna force a lot of plays. I will be betting a lot of these live as well. So let's get into a quick recap and go off here. I got to make the recap page all over again. But let's jump into it. I'll tell you guys what I'm betting if I'm betting anything. So or at least what I like today. So if we go, let's just make this black. Let's make this red. Going back to the top. Get these off. All right. What I really like in that first game is Connecticut, Washington over the 150. Wow, it's still going up. The 157.5 is actually drying up. You still can get one, but I'll just put 158.5. I think it gets to 160 today. I really, really do. Typically, when these two teams get together, they play a pretty slow brand of basketball. But I think that this one can get up and over the number. Let me just make this a tad bit bigger because there's not going to be that many plays on here. All right, the next one is Toronto, Minnesota. Really kind of want to wait on Izzy. I think Toronto plus the points could be a play if Izzy is back, and if they end up having Kiki Rice. We'll see if she end up making her way back. Indiana, Seattle, you got to wait on the Dom news, in my opinion, but I do want to take Seattle plus the points. If she is in, I definitely want her to be a part. New York, I can't lay points with, so it would be Los Angeles Sparks plus you can get a 5.5 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, and I do think that game goes over the number, over 182. It looks like, and a half is available on FanDuel right now. And Portland, Las Vegas, Jackie Young. Over her 6.5 assists, or whatever her assist line is. I think she can get to 10 again tonight. So this will be the plays that I'm making for today. I haven't played anything officially yet, kind of waiting on the injury report. Would it be in the first game back? But yeah, these are my thoughts, man. I know it's a bit of a longer show, but it's also like a ton of games. It kind of reminds me a little bit of capping the NBA, which I do not miss capping all those games at the same time. But yeah, this is what I'm betting if I'm betting anything today, man. I hope that was helpful. Resources all linked in the description of the video. Make sure you guys check them out. Jackson, Out Loud, Moneyballer, Eyes Jam. Enjoy the games, man. I will catch you guys in the next one, man. I'm out.